I've noticed people are very quick to share somebody else's business. And I just find that so interesting. Because I'm like...
What makes you wonder what business of yours is safe with them?
That's why I don't be telling nobody nothing. What you been doing? Like, I'm so quick to be like, I haven't been doing anything. I go home. And that'd be a lie. Obviously, we're here talking on a podcast, so we might sometimes overshare somebody's business.
Somebody feels like we do.
So, I don't know.
Taylor's definitely the protecting piece. I'm good. I'm a little bit more word vomit. You're going to get it all. So curious to see what our audience is like out there.
I don't know. Would we schedule our time to go out to eat?
No.
I don't think so.
This is Sistas Declassified, the podcast where
Taylor
and Taryn,
your virtual sisters, share experiences, insights, and of course the juicy secrets that never leave the sister circle.
So shh, listen up. The Declassified convos are starting now.
Welcome back to Sistas Declassified. We're the real life sisters who decided to start a podcast instead of keeping our relationship private.
But before we get started, don't forget to subscribe so you can get your weekly dose of declassified moments.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're getting into some declassified gospel today.
Amen, amen.
But it's, I guess, about your possible gossip.
It's true. It depends on what you do.
Yes. Our declassified moment for today is not everybody deserves a front row seat to your business, which is kind of ironic for our instead of, which was...
We started a podcast because we felt like we didn't spend enough time together or talk to each other and didn't fit the definition of sisters.
So we decided to overshare online. But really, I want us to reflect today on just how much business do we share with other people and how much is too much and how much is considered oversharing.
Right. It's always good to have boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what boundaries do we have with what people? Who should we be more transparent with, both online and in real life? I think is a good thing to reflect on, especially in a day and age where it feels like everybody is sharing everything about themselves, I would say, specifically online.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of creators who have to remind their audience and others that you don't actually know me.
You don't know nothing about me.
Right. You only know what I choose to let you know.
Mm-hmm.
And even though it might seem like a lot, you still don't see me day in, day out. So I just think it's definitely an interesting topic to consider, especially because of what we decided to do.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's layers to it. And like, you might share this much information with your friends, or you might share this much with your partner. You might share this stuff with your family. And like, what are your boundaries? What is okay to talk about in each of those groups or online? Because, mostly online, people just share their highlight reel, or maybe if there was one tough moment, they might share a testimony of some kind. Mm-hmm. And like, when is it okay to share your testimony? And when is it like, girl, get your sob story off my timeline?
This is not your diary.
And why is one considered a testimony and one considered oversharing?
Yeah, I think to your point around difference between family, friends, and partners, I think for me personally, the difference between family and friends and partners, I kind of put friends and partners in the same group because they're chosen.
Yeah.
I think with my friends and partner, they get pretty much unfiltered. There's like not a lot of judgment felt from those groups. Not to say that you as family or others in our family judge me. I think it's more just my perception and like the perception of our relationship and the perception I'd like to maintain in your eyes versus like with partner and friends. I think maybe there's less perception I'm trying to maintain, which seems like maybe should be the opposite. I don't know. But
I think it's just who experiences you on a day-to-day. And you might see your friends and partner more than you see us.
Yeah, I guess that might be true.
At least at this point in life. I think, though, for me, I don't know that my partner and my friends are at the same spot now. I think that they used to be, and I had to, like, shift that. Because then I was oversharing things about my partner to my friends.
Yeah, okay. I guess they're not exactly the same for me either, but I think I view them more similarly.
Well, that's the area I think of oversharing that I had to reel back in. Because you might have this feeling about your partner in this moment, but that doesn't mean that you're actually going to carry that feeling on. But you've just given your friends a lens to look at your partner, and they're not having new experiences with your partner the same way that you are. And so they just know what you told them.
Right, and you're not always following up on the healing or the reconciliation that happened post that thing you told them about that might not paint your partner in the best light.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
Very true. I guess as a married woman, I do consider what I share about my husband, because I want us to always be united and present a united front. Mm-hmm. But truth be told, I'm just, in some ways I find myself to be painfully honest. I'm very careful with my words, so what I say may not always be exactly the same to each audience, but like the gist and the intention of it has to feel like I'm telling the truth. Otherwise, it's like painful to me. I don't know if that's neurodivergence or what, but like I can't feel like I'm lying about me. Mm-hmm. That doesn't feel good in my spirit.
Well, and it's not about lying, right? But like, do you need all of this information? What am I trying to gain from sharing this with you? Because if I'm just saying this stuff so that you could hear everything on my mind, like, for what? Like, do these people need to hear? But I'm not even saying that. Like, I think sometimes we feel like we have to go and tell somebody about something to be validated about our experience instead of learning to validate ourselves. And so I think that is often why people overshare. I mean, that's not the only reason, but at least for me, that was why I was oversharing. I won't say that's why everyone does. Because I was trying to be like, am I tripping? Right? Mm-hmm. Like, I'll text you quickly and be like, am I tripping? Yeah. Or something along those lines. And that's not really in oversharing, but it was always about trying to figure out or make sense of a situation. Right.
But to the point of boundaries versus transparency, what is the appropriate boundary when sharing things, asking, am I tripping when it comes to my partner? Mm-hmm. Or asking, am I tripping when it comes to my friends? And who you're asking that to and where you're doing it. Mm-hmm. I think there's a big trend now, particularly online, where you see people share stories and be like, who was wrong? Mm-hmm. Or even just the am I the asshole as a trend, right? Sharing a personal situation or story that happened in your life to get the audience to, usually I assume, to be on your side. Some people might genuinely be asking, like, did I mess up because I don't understand their response to me? Mm-hmm. But most of the time it's like, can you believe this happened? Am I the asshole? Usually the person posting comes off as not.
Right. Well, and it's interesting. I actually finished a video the other day, and Brandon walked in while I was watching it, and he was like, why would the person do this? But, so a middle person, like, is friends with a girl and a guy. The guy is like, the guy is like, hook me up with the girl. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So the guy in the middle is like, I don't usually do that. I don't like mixing friend groups, but fine, I'll hook them up. And long story short, they hooked up. The girl ghosted the guy. Oh. And then when the middle friend reached out to the girl after he spoke to the guy and was like, what happened? The girl was like, why would you send your friend with a small? Oh. Why would you put us together? Why would you put us together? But
also, interesting response. Interesting.
Yes, sorry. Don't ever, if you know your friend got a small.
Why would he know that?
Exactly. But anyway, so mind you, I'm listening to this story, and I didn't even consider it up because I'm just still listening. And Brendan's like, what kind of friend would come online and share that story to the public? Because it's the middle friend sharing this story out. Oh. Yes. Mm. And he's like, well, this is why I never merged friend groups, was the moral of his story.
So now you're just telling everybody business.
Yes.
Because you done told the reason why the girl goes to the guy, and now you're telling the guy's business. Yeah. And you're telling the girl's business. And in this case, from the information you provided, she seems interesting. That's the word I'll use. But it does seem like a story you keep to yourself as the middle person.
Yeah, it's something you just keep it cute. Move on. But
I never do it again. Right. This is why I don't do this.
But this is why, like, I feel like we've gotten into this oversharing lens of the world where you didn't even consider that both of these friends are going to see your post. Mm-hmm, and maybe you feel like nobody's going to guess who these people are.
They will.
But you don't know how many people he done told, this girl done ghosted me, and he put us together. Right. Or vice versa. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So now you got people in your real life trying to figure out who you're talking about. So I don't know. Those things can happen, and obviously we're here talking on a podcast, so we might sometimes overshare somebody's business.
Somebody feels like we do.
So, I don't know. But, yeah, I guess it's just like a level of how far is too far, and do we even know?
Well, I think the story you're bringing up is interesting because that's someone, that is them sharing their business in a way, but it's not really about them. It's about the other people in the story. And so I do think there's a difference between sharing something that happened to you that's like maybe more embarrassing or about you versus like almost like third party sharing information about what happened with a larger group of people.
Right.
Like there's no way they could have told that story without telling other people's business.
Right.
And I think sometimes you can tell a story about what happened to you in a friendship without totally telling the other person's business.
Right.
Or you can tell a story about you personally in general that doesn't require you divulging information about others in your life.
Yeah.
And so I do think there's levels to it, but we've definitely gone in the direction of let me double check on the internet.
Right. It's like I can't. Is it that people don't have anyone else to ask, so they come to the internet? I don't know. But
I mean, I'm somebody who can relate to needing to vent. I'm definitely a venter. I feel lighter once I've talked through a situation. I have my own internal monologue that would be going on. And so sometimes it's helpful to even just have a listening ear, which is why I found therapy to be helpful. So I could definitely relate to needing to get it out, whether it's in writing or verbally. But it's when it comes to sharing on the internet, I'm just like, I don't know. I think earlier you had asked the difference between like
testimony.
Yeah, testimony and
oversharing.
I feel like the difference between testimony and oversharing is usually testimony implies there's some sort of like healing or learning, like you're sharing.
Yeah, you did learn. I'm never gonna put my friends together.
But that I don't know if that's a testimony, right? Based on how you describe the story, I don't know if that's a testimony. I don't know. Oh, that's tough. That's tough.
Which is like, it's a level of depth.
Yeah.
But how do you decide what's deep? You know, like everybody's depth is
I
different.
feel like that story is that sure, you might learn from it that it could backfire on you to hook up your two friends. But I think that's pretty surface level obvious.
Right. And it didn't really backfire on you. And if that girl stopped being your friend because you hooked her up with a dude with a small, then...
Right, then like how deep was your friendship with, you know, I feel like it's a pretty shallow testimony.
For sure.
Is how I would describe that. So if it's like, I don't know if that's a hardship you would see other people going through on a regular basis that you feel they need to share because you've learned this like aha lesson. I think they already knew that hooking up their friends with other friends could backfire and that they wouldn't enjoy it. And then they experienced exactly what they thought they would experience.
Yes.
So I think maybe that's where I'm seeing the difference between a testimony and oversharing. Is like the testimony is I'm sharing like an enlightening moment almost. And I don't think anything about that story had any sort of enlightening moment. It was more like dramatic. Yeah, it was more dramatic, more messy. And it could definitely backfire on them.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess then... How do you keep it cute when you want to share something is the question at hand.
I think you keep it cute by being clear on what audience that story is for and like what you're trying to get out of sharing it. Like I said, for me, often me sharing is for me to process, especially if it's something that happened to me. And if I'm going to gossip, then I know I only gossip with my husband because he's a vault.
You're not listening to you, barely even care what you're talking about.
Exactly. So I get to get it off my chest. I get a couple oohs and ahs and wows, and we move on. You know, so it's not something for me to share on the internet. That said, though, I do try to be mindful the same way you do with sharing about your partner with others. I try to be mindful of not sharing my friend's business.
Oh, for sure.
With my husband either, but you know, he be knowing stuff.
Or with other friends, because it's like, you know, sometimes your friends do know each other, even if y'all don't all kick it together. They're like, how's so-and-so? And it's so easy to
Girl, the other day.
Yeah, we were just together, and she said...
And can you believe her man? Right, like just...
And they don't even really know each other for real. Like, why are you talking? Be quiet. Just say, she's cool. Thanks for asking.
Right. And keep it pushing. Because it can be easy to get into the story if you got some tea.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Because I know I've hung out with people and they're quick to... I've noticed people are very quick to share somebody else's business. Mm-hmm. And I just find that so interesting. Because I'm like...
What makes you wonder what business of yours is safe with them?
That's why I don't be telling nobody nothing. What you been doing? My brain will... I don't even do it on purpose. But my brain's like, not much. Like, I'm so quick to being like, I haven't been doing anything. I go home. And that'd be a lie. It'd be a lie. And it's not even on purpose.
It's just your reflex response. It's
my automatic response. I ain't been doing much.
Well, I think this episode is reminding me to encourage you to find the line between being authentic and protecting your peace. Because I think there is some peace that comes with your automatic answers.
Yes.
Right? You're not getting into your drama, for lack of better words, or anyone else's drama when you keep it very short and cute with how's so-and-so.
Mm-hmm.
How
like, how's Brandon? How you guys been doing? We're good.
Little do they know, I didn't speak to him when I left this morning because the dishes was in the sink.
Girl, no.
No, I'm joking.
But no,
I'm joking.
But I hear you, right. We could have just duked it out outside. Or we could have just went on a 10-day vacation.
Right.
But we're good.
Well, at least you keep it balanced, right? You're not sharing the good or the bad, just the we're good.
But I will say, I would be quick. Before I had my self-reflection, I would be quick to say, like, or need to bounce an idea off of somebody. Like, am I tripping about this in our relationship? And I think that was... I didn't want people to have any perception, but we're good. So that's just kind of been my automatic mode of operation in every area of life lately. And not with everybody.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right?
But with most bodies.
With most bodies, I'm not even gonna lie. I probably have like 3 people who I actually say, listen.
Well, since you have.
But otherwise, we straight over here.
Yeah, that's something I think I can improve on. I would say particularly at work. Again, I'm mindful of my words, but sometimes I'll say stuff, and my husband's desk is not too far from mine now. And he'll look over after I done had a conversation with somebody and be like, why do you have to say all that? I'd be like, because it's the truth. And he's like, yeah, but he just reminds me everybody's not your friend, which is true, which is very true. Definitely, I can hear mom saying that too. Definitely, everybody's not your friend, but I just...
And dad used to be so mad. That ain't your friend. That's an acquaintance. You as an associate.
Yes. I just have a hard time. I don't know what it is about me that feels the need to like always speak what I think is my truth or the truth. Mm-hmm. I just have a very strong affinity for that. But sometimes it leads to me oversharing my opinions on things. Mm-hmm. And I will often tell people, this is not a fact. This is something I think, or the way that I phrase it is such that I can tell you exactly what I said, and if you read back the transcript, I keep a lot of room for nuance, but how the person might have received the message and how they might go on to tell somebody else that might not be as nuanced as I initially shared it. And so that's usually what my husband is reminding me of.
Got it.
I don't know, I just can't help it.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
I gotta be authentic. But it does sometimes disrupt my peace.
Yeah. And I think that's the goal, is that we're protecting our peace, but also protecting some of our business. Because I know people will say we don't know who's listening and who actually has your good intentions at heart. But I think that also is a part of not oversharing, is just, you don't know what people do when you're not around. Mm-hmm. And you can be placing all your trust into them not sharing your business when you're not around, but you just kind of don't know. But also, I think it is good to strengthen your internal voice. So that means, like, if you don't share all the time, that means you have to figure more things out without asking someone's opinion. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the big thing that I worked on recently in the last few years. It's like, can I just make this decision without anybody's input? Because that's what I want to do. Like, yeah. And not need that validation. Which I know people aren't only oversharing because they need validation. Sometimes they just like to talk.
Yeah. Guilty. And sometimes they just be messy, right? So there's definitely levels to the oversharing. And I don't know. I feel like circling back to online, I just think that's a place where people should be, I don't want to say the most mindful, because you definitely want to be mindful in your real life, but things on the internet be real permanent, and they can go viral real fast.
Well, I mean, I will say, as long as you're not talking about people, whatever, or as long as you're not committing a crime, whatever.
But people be doing that.
Right. Well, the challenge is...
People be doing both those things.
Oh, for sure, and that's oversharing. But I think the challenge is, if we were to go back to last week's episode of Laugh Now, or like whatever, if you don't take things so seriously, you could share whatever.
True. You just have to know yourself, right? And be prepared for the response that thing might get.
Right. So I think that's kind of where you decide is this oversharing or not.
Am I prepared for the outcome?
Yes. From saying these things. And if I could roll with every punch, then cool.
And that's why I be saying what I say at work.
But I don't know. I don't know if you can roll with every punch because you're sensitive.
Me?
Yes. Generally.
I am. I am.
And that's why you need to fix your attitude.
I'm sensitive about some things, yes.
Yes. But anyway, I think we can wrap ourselves up today with just reflecting on, are you the oversharing type or are you the I'm good type? Keeping it cute.
We just want you to think about your balance. You lean more towards being authentic and sharing all the time, everything, or protecting your peace with a I'm good. And I'm curious to know who you might lean a little bit more like today, because Taylor's definitely the protecting peace, I'm good. I'm a little bit more word vomit. You're going to get it all. So curious to see what our audience is like out there.
But otherwise, I guess we'll thank you guys for watching. Share with a friend. We don't mind you oversharing this episode. And we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.